dietitian will just be like, I'll just give you the diet plan with our consultation and it will be done. But then there's this dietitian who will basically walk you through it. You'll be having weekly sessions with them or daily. You see, of course, she's not going to charge like this other person. Yes.
Welcome to We Are Feel, #figuring it out. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. My name is Leaki Gondu, one of the co-hosts of We Are Feel. The other one is just behind Okotum, Akipiga Stories, but she's here with us today. So first of all, let's start by asking you guys to please support us by subscribing, hit the subscription button and the notification bell so that every time when you're about to have amazing episodes such as one that you're about to have, you're able to be notified. And today it's an interesting day. We have a guest on set. This season tumeamua story zetu narita. We want to hear from other people. And I'd want to introduce registered dietitian nutritionist Evelyn, who is passionate about the role of nutrition and primordial health. That's correct. Yes. Primordial prevention and the use of therapeutic low carbohydrate restriction as a medical nutrition therapist in patients with conditions such as PCOS, diabetes, epilepsy, heart disease, IBS, etc. She's also good in public speaking, research, white paper presentation, and community outreach. Welcome, Evelyn, to We Are Feel. How are you feeling today?
I'm quite nervous. As I mentioned, this is going to be my first ever podcast that I'm doing, but I'm happy you guys invited me. Yes.
We are really happy to have you. And I think for our guests, so what we are currently going to speak about today is on nutrition, and our focus today is on keto, the keto diet. But I think maybe just to give a bit of background from my end, I don't know whether I'm actually doing a diet or not. Or I am... So I basically started on a weight loss journey like sometime 2022, but not like really weight loss. It was just more of like I wanted to go and work out and just be fit. And I actually never thought I was big, but I was bigger than I am right now. I never, like that was not, sometimes it would get to me, but not really. And then I started on working out, so just working out, going to the gym, doing cardio and Zumba classes and those things. But I was never keen on like my diet and what I ate. For me, it was whatever is on my plate, I eat.
Yes.
And then someone told me, you have to, if you want to lose weight and become fit, you have to check on your diet and you need to like adjust it a bit and like now measure your calories and all those things and remove carbs and sweet stuff. And that's how I started like now being very keen on what I eat. And I started with fast zero carb diet. I'm not sure whether that is keto or what kind of that diet is. I didn't give it a name. So I chucked that out, then just was having proteins and stuff like that. And right now I'm like usually very conscious about my eating and what I eat and what goes inside me. So that was just generally my my background with dieting and stuff like that. Maybe I'd like to know, tell us a bit about how you ended up into nutrition. Was it because of something you were like, I want to just, maybe someone was sick and decided, I want to understand nutrition better, or how did that come to be?
So actually how I got into nutrition is a very funny story. I actually got into nutrition thinking that it's about food, cooking, like the way everyone always thinks. You're like, they taste your food. I cook nice food, by the way. So people eat your food.
Host us.
I will. So you make nice food, someone eats, and they're like, hey, it's because you're doing nutrition. So actually that is somehow a misconception that is out there of what nutrition is about. Yeah, people think you're supposed to be working in the hotel, but then really 90% of our work is in the hospital. So I got into it thinking it's about
Food.
Yes, working in the hotel. But then when I got into it, I realized no, it's all about the science of food in relation to your immunity, in which it is something that I do thoroughly love.
Yeah.
As much as I got into it by mistake.
By mistake.
Yes.
So for you, it was like, oh, I'm going to be cooking this amazing food because I'm a
Yes.
good cook. But right now, it's something very different from that, more technical, more scientific based.
Exactly.
So I think people talk a lot about diet, and like I hear about diet, and right now I think it's becoming such a popular notion, and people want to say, oh, I'm in a Mediterranean diet and I'm on this diet. So what exactly essentially is diet? Is it the food on my plate? When we speak about diet, what exactly is it?
So a diet, I'd first of all like to define something we call RDAs. RDAs are called recommended dietary allowances. So recommended dietary allowances are basically like an average of a daily average of nutrients that you're supposed to be taking, so that basically it's helping with your health.
Yeah.
So when I say a diet, you're basically doing a modification in these daily average nutrients that you need, maybe to meet certain needs. You might be sick, maybe you have things like diabetes, you are hypertensive, you can be targeting weight loss. So that is where now the word diet comes in. Basically, you're doing a modification in your daily average nutrients that you're supposed to be taking daily. Yes.
What are the daily nutrients that I need to be consuming as a human being? From a nutrition point, are there specific ones that I need to have every day?
So, of course, we have the macro and the micronutrients. With the macronutrients, I think it's what everyone usually does. You have your carbohydrates, you have your proteins, you have your vitamins and minerals.
Okay. That's the only thing that I know.
Exactly. So, when it comes to that, those are the things that you are majorly supposed to be consuming. Then now when you come to the macronutrients, now they're basically things your body does not need in large amounts, but then they are still needed so that you do not have certain deficiencies. Yes.
Okay. That's because for me, I think in my mind, when I think about diet, I just think what is on my plate, and for me it's either carbohydrate or protein or it's a vegetable. I think, and then recently, because of working out and muscles and joints and pain, that's when I'm like, okay, you need to take a banana because you need calcium, or you need to take these moringa powders and all those things that are available, to just add in a bit of like calcium and phosphate and all those things to so that I don't have like aches on my legs or my what do you call them, joints and stuff like that. But generally for me it's usually just like carbohydrates or proteins or vitamins. Past that, that's the only thing we know. What are some of the different diets that exist?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe just to correct you a bit,
Thank
you may need my consultation services after this, clearly. Yeah, so bananas actually are not the richest source of calcium. Bananas are very rich in potassium.
Yes. Thank you for that correction.
Okay. Yeah. So with the different diets that there are, actually I think there are a million. Like there are so many diets out there.
Yeah.
But me being a dietitian, I think I'd mention some of the diets that are more therapeutic based.
Yeah.
Like you've mentioned, there's the Mediterranean, there's the paleo diet. You hear someone talking about things now like the ones which are more therapeutic, like the DASH diet, which is called, basically they're dietary interventions to stop hypertension. For example, maybe you are hypertensive. There is the Mediterranean diet that also many people like taking, in which basically it's just full of whole grain foods, plants, a lot of fruits, isn't it? Then we have something we call the brat diet, in which basically you're taking bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast, in which this is usually a diet that is given majorly to kids maybe when they're having like maybe stomach upsets, but again it needs to be administered by a registered dietitian because they're not supposed to be on the diet for more than 2 days. We have things like the ketogenic diet, in which basically it's just reduction in the amount of carbohydrate that you're taking.
Because I know most people just fall into diet. So do most of these diets have to be prescribed by a dietitian? Or can someone just start adopting them? Are they specific to just diseases? Because from what you've said, it's like what the brat one, if I'm not wrong, you said it has to be, a dietitian has to have already, like said, have this diet for this period of time, and maybe it's because of a certain deficiency of some sort. So do all this diet need to be prescribed by a dietitian? Okay.
So for most of them, I working in the hospital, it's usually more of like you meet people when they're already sick. So most of the times you're meeting like sick patients, so you really need to prescribe the diet for them. But like I've said, many people, like right now if you were to Google diets, there is the soldier's diet, the Jumara, you're just eating eggs only, you see all those things. Not necessarily all of them need to be initiated by a dietitian, but I would, however, recommend working with a dietitian, because you see some of these diets, they are quite extreme. Like I think one which I see a lot of is like you're just supposed to be taking eggs, you're taking water, other people are on a 12-day detox. You should work with a nutritionist so that they are ensuring that
there's a balance.
Yes, and also that you're not getting any deficiencies from it. Of course, there are certain diets that will come to me as a dietitian that does not even have any scientific backing into it. I'd not be willing to initiate that diet for you, because I'm like, I do not know any studies that have been done on this. I don't know any side effects that have been done on it. So I may less likely agree to put you on a diet if I do not know a lot of information about it. But with any diet that you're doing, I'd encourage you just get a dietitian.
Just get a consultation.
Exactly, so that at least they tell you, okay, you want this diet, these are the side effects, these are the good things about it. They tell you, they take you through another diet like that, so that by the end of the day, you're actually choosing a diet that is good for you, and they'll also ensure that you're not suffering from any deficiencies, and they'll tell you also a time frame, like you can be like I mentioned on the brat diet, you can be on this diet, but only for this period of time, then we are done. Yes.
Are diet a preventive measure for diseases?
Of course, 100%. 100%. We're actually told that 80 to 90% of your immunity lies in the gut. So, of course, nutrition is literally everything. If you take care of your nutrition, you'll never see the hospital.
It's actually one of the things I think we see a lot for people who work out is that, and I think most people think most of the work is done in the gym, but like 70 or 80% of the work for me, even on my weight loss journey, was through diet. When I changed how I eat, I saw a significant drop in my weight, and also interacting in the same space. What I've noticed is those people who want to bulk, even those who want to be bigger, they're using diet as the platform in which they can do that, and just go to the gym to build muscles or to enhance that what you're eating, or to use it just as another tool towards your goal. I think one of the things I think you mentioned, or I know you for, is for the keto diet, and you have had a bit of discussions around it. Tell us, what is keto diet about? And sorry, before you answer, this is one of the most well-known diets, right? I feel like everyone in Kenya might know what a keto diet is. So please break it down for us.
So the ketogenic diet, it's one of the diets that basically has a lot of traction to it. But then again, when you do some digging, most people know it for weight loss. But actually also when you come to the medical nutrition therapy side, it also does have a lot of benefits. So by definition, ketogenic diet is just a diet that is basically low in carbohydrate. You're consuming moderate protein, and it's high in fat.
High in fat, yes. So fats are not actually bad, because I think people think when something is very fatty, then it is. But I also understand that different kind of like fats and stuff like that. So in this aspect, when you mean fats, what kind of fats are we talking about?
Well, again, when you go in literature, they don't really.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Necessarily demonizing any sort of fat, but then they do talk about like if you consume this fat in this and this way, it's of course like not going to be good for you. But then when you come to the fat, again, a dietitian needs to be put in place so that you also get things like your triglycerides lab works in place before you are actually initiated into the diet, so that they're actually checked. There are studies that show like there is no negative occurrences that are happening when you're taking a high fat diet. But of course, to be on the safer side, you're supposed to be taking like the healthier fats, things like the olive oils, the coconut oils, any plant-based oils.
Those are the kind of that's good. What is the origin of keto? Where did keto diet originate from?
Okay, so when it comes to the origin of the ketogenic diet, it actually dates back to like 400 BC by guys like Akina Hippocrates. They're saying like, okay, when we removed the carbohydrates from these patients who are seeing this and this happening. But then now you see different people, depending on whatever they are doing it for, you'll notice they'll have different origins from when it came about. For example, I can mention to ketogenic diet, especially when you come into the medical field, it's known for being able to reverse type 2 diabetes and also things like refractory epilepsy, like it's able to control the seizures of these patients. So you see, when it comes to the diabetes side, you'll see people like physicians like John Rollo, William Morgan, as far back as 1757, they're talking about their recommendations in the diet is avoid any saccharine matter, basically the sugars, in which it's the carbohydrates they're talking about. When you go to the epilepsy side, you'll not miss someone called Dr. Wilder, who was also a physician, and is actually one of the people around 1921 who actually now came up with now the diet. He was like, okay, now this is the ketogenic diet. The classic ketogenic diet actually somehow originated from him, and I think from then on is where now at least we are seeing it published more even in literature.
But most people or that I know just use it for weight loss. That's usually so focused. So, but as you've said, it's also used for other diseases, and it originated from a medical background.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. I think most of us just pick up things without like understanding what the origin of these things are, and then we just adopt them without basically also understanding the impacts and the effects, or why it came to be. How does the keto diet work? You said it's reduction of carbohydrates, a moderate intake on proteins. I think a moderate intake on vegetables.
It's a low carbohydrate, moderate protein, high fat diet.
Oh, high fat diet. Yes. Where are the vegetables? There are no vegetables.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does it work?
Okay, so how it works, basically, your body uses glucose as the primary source of fuel, isn't it?
Yes.
So when you're talking about ketogenic diet, you basically want to switch the body from using glucose to using ketones, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ketones is, when we talk about ketones, we're talking about, let me go back so that I'm explaining to you very well. So what happens when you consume your food? Your food basically, majorly starches, they give you sugar, isn't it? Sugar, of course, the body will use what it needs, then it's going to store the rest as glycogen and fat. Glycogen is the storage form of this glucose in your liver, isn't it? So when it's breaking down, basically for you to use it as energy, that is what is referred to as ketones, isn't it? The ketones. Actually, that is how somehow the word ketogenic diet comes in, yes. So you see, the process of your body switching from you using glucose to these ketones as fuel is usually called ketosis. Yes. So for you to ensure that you are actually losing weight, or for whatever therapeutic diet that you're using it, your body basically has gotten into a state of ketosis. You are no longer using glucose because you've deprived your body from
having more
the carbohydrates. Then now it switches. It's like, okay, we still need to function in the body. So what else can we use? So it goes to basically the ketones in the body. The fat. Yes.
Okay. So what are the different types or versions of the ketogenic diet?
Again, that is something when you Google, we are going to find
1 million of them.
Exactly, there are so many. But I can tell you, of course, there's the classic one, the one which I told you that was developed by Dr. Russell Wilder, in which basically with the types, what happens is it's just the distribution between the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. That is what always happens. So we have the classic, in which it's usually a ratio of 4:1, in which for many people, by the way, they usually can't.
So 4:1, you mean?
The ratio of carbohydrates
to fats.
Exactly, to fat and protein. So basically, it's quite a lot. It's only that I think I should show you practically, maybe with a calculate. But basically, you're using a lot of fats, in which most people find it intolerable by the way, because people are not consuming. People are not used to consuming such fats. But then now you see, because of that, Russell created that one. But then now, of course, with things like people like tolerating or someone falling out of track because they're like, I cannot be able to take in. Now that's where we got into the different distributions. Exactly. So there's something like the Atkins. Then there's a point that came out to There's the Atkins, then there's the modified Atkins. Again, he created it, then it was like, okay, some people are having challenges using this. Then a modified Atkins was created. We have an MCT diet in which basically you're using medium chain triglycerides fat. You have the low glycemic. In low glycemic foods, basically you're using unprocessed starches. Yes, that is what you are including. So with the different variations, what you just need to know is that it's just a variation of whatever someone is able to tolerate.
Yes. And that is carbohydrates against fats and proteins.
Yes.
But at any given time, there's no time your carbohydrates should be more than your proteins and fats, depending on whatever variation that you're using, so that your body is able to be in ketosis mode. Is there a timeline in which your body can get to ketosis? Is it after a certain period after you eat that your body can get to ketosis?
No. You have to first deplete all your stores before your body actually gets into ketosis, and it's usually different for different people depending on how you already usually consume. For example, if you're used to eating extra more of calories than what your body requires, and me, I don't. You see me, my body will start using its storage much quicker than you, because you basically will have more stores. Yes.
Okay. How many calories should a person take? A day?
Okay, so that one again, it's very individualized. If you are to see a dietitian, like personally, they'll be able to calculate for you. But if you are going through literature, usually now called RDIs, usually say for women generally is 2,000 kilocalories, and for men it's 2,500. But then that's just the general. But if you are to see someone like a dietitian, they'll be able to know exactly tell you, like, Claire, this is what you are taking, and Marlene, this is what you're supposed to be taking. Yes.
So for someone to be able to deplete their glucose or their storage, that means they have to be below their daily calorie intake.
Yes.
Okay, so that your body gets now to a place where
it's now using its own fats
in the body.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's good. I hope you're learning, and I hope you're taking notes. And we are looking forward to having more questions on this. But who should do the keto diet? Are there specific people that this should be for? Or can anyone just jump into it? And what would be the considerations for someone to have before they actually start the diet?
Okay.
For those, I know for those maybe who the clinician or the dietitian has prescribed it to them, maybe there are reasons behind that. But for someone who's just after this episode, they're like, oh yeah, I want to do this, I've been struggling, but yeah, so what would be some of those considerations?
Okay, again, being a dietitian, I'd be a bit biased. Because most people are many people are prescribing the ketogenic diet for themselves because of that, for the good side effect of the weight loss is going to happen, isn't it? But again, I'll just insist, before you start it, just ensure you are working with a dietitian so that at least they are tracking to ensure like nothing negative or nothing no negative side effect is happening. So when it comes to the people who it's actually indicated for, we have type 2 diabetes. For people who maybe they've been told they have type 2 diabetes, they're newly diagnosed, they want to maybe change. They want to basically reverse it back. Yes.
It is possible.
It is extremely possible. We have pre-diabetics, we have people who are maybe overweight and obese. We have children, refractory epilepsy, it also works for them. We have things like IBS, PCOS, all that. Yes.
So basically, before you start, you can just get a consultation, right? Is it expensive to get a consultation with a dietitian? I think that's the one thing that would jump in someone's mind. Why? And I think it's not very popular for someone to just be like, oh, I'm going to just see a dietitian.
Yes.
And I just want to understand how I should eat. So is it expensive for someone?
I don't think it is that expensive because like we've said, sometimes it usually just depends. It's a preventive measure. Sometimes if you look into, like, maybe for example you're type 2 diabetic, isn't it, and you want to reverse, if you were to check the amount of money you'll spend just seeing the dietitian and them recommending certain foods, you see, if you were to compare in the long run, you actually spend less money than you'd be spending when it comes to buying the actual drugs, isn't it? Different dietitians, again, depending on how they've packaged themselves, they do know how much they are charging. Some go to as low as 2,000. There are people who charge as expensive as
hundreds of thousands.
Exactly, or even within a single consultation, they'll charge like 5,000, 10,000. It just depends with whatever they are giving and what. Basically the profile that they've created and what services they are going to offer to you, because you see one dietitian will just be like, I'll just give you the diet plan with our consultation and it will be done. But then there's this dietitian who will basically walk you through it. You'll be having weekly sessions with them or daily. You see, of course she's not going to charge like this other person. Yes.
That is just a one-time off.
Yes.
And is a dietitian can be found in our public hospitals, because I think that is our first point of access when it comes to healthcare.
Yes. They are there. It's only that I feel like people don't put good use into them, and then it's also there are people who somehow are not properly seen. And then now you see with the conception, like we were saying earlier, people think you're supposed to be cooking, so they actually don't know what you are there, so they will not utilize. Actually, all public hospitals, there is a dietitian nutritionist there. It's only that now people are not utilizing them because they are not aware they can help me in this industry.
And I think maybe just for our audience is to say that when investing in your health before you get sick saves you much more than when you plan to pay, or when now you get sick. And we have seen people someone gets sick in the family and that just takes them from one level to ground zero. I think one of the ways we can do this is by obtaining or seeing some of the specialists that we have in our public hospitals, in private practice, dietitian, nutritionists, to be able to guide us in some of these things. And we are not just relying on Google and everyone else who have done something once and then they believe that they're experts without having like the background in it. So make sure you visit a dietitian in your nearest public hospital, or you can seek out private practice. What are the benefits of keto?
The benefits of keto are actually quite many, in which like we were talking about, the number one that everyone usually goes to is because like they lose weight. So there's of course weight loss. There's clarity, actually, like your mental clarity. Maybe you can tell us how was your mental space during that time when you decided to do a low carbohydrate diet?
I think it was very I was very active. I think I also saw a bit of change on my mood. And I think my body felt much better, much easier. I'm not feeling... Actually, nowadays, when I'm in a place or in a day I've eaten a lot of carbs, I feel like my body is just like... I don't know, I usually feel like my body is just out of sorts in a way than when I've just like taken salads and and those kind of things. I think I usually feel better. And I think also it gives you a bit of more like confidence. There's a kind of discipline when you stop taking sugar that is different from like you stop eating anything else. Like stop eating carbohydrates, because you usually end up having a bit of cravings during a certain period of time as you're living it. But I think after that, your body adopts and you feel much better.
That's true. So there's that, the mental clarity. Basically, even with the strength, many patients usually say like they're more, like you've mentioned, like you're more active. And then of course when you come to the medical side, you see like for a child who maybe they had a lot of the refractory epilepsy, they'll see a control in their seizures. For someone who they were pre-diabetic, again, they'll just their blood glucose levels up. For someone who was actually type 2 diabetes, they actually it's reverse. So
there's benefits to it. I think what would be the downsides of keto?
The downsides of keto, like we've said, it's a fairly
team
diet. So we don't know, like it has been there, like as much as I'd mentioned, when you go back to literature, it's there since like 400 BC. But then now you see like people taking it seriously to actually follow up on the diet. It's something that has just started the other day. So for now we do not know the long-term side effects of someone being on the diet. That's why I'd not recommend for just anyone, especially if you're not disease, like for you to just take it up. So we do not know the long-term side effects, and then again it's quite expensive because I'm limiting most of your foods to meats, in which of course if you check they're
ugali na nyama kila siku.
You see. And then in terms of there's going to be the expense part, and then sometimes some people usually feel like also the adherence, like I've told you, like you're basically changing your diet to something that you've not used to.
And it's difficult.
It is extremely difficult because you can imagine I'm telling you to take almost an avocado every day. Maybe you don't like taking avocado. There are people, you know, the way we've always been.
I think also limiting your choice, because that's one of the things that I struggled with initially, is that the choice that you have of the things that you can be able to consume is now very narrow, and the food can sometimes become boring. You need to like find inventive ways on cooking them for them to be interesting. So I think that would be one of the side effects that I experienced. Maybe I was in a keto diet to be thinking about it. Maybe not very fatty, but but I think that was one, is that my limit was like I just have like just a few things that I can be able to take. Okay. What about in like a social dynamic? Because one of the things I experienced was, so you go to a party or a family gathering, and you tell people, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't eat. I'm not eating that. And people are like, why? You know, and like this whole judgment, there's a judgy tone to they're questioning, oh, so now you're in a diet, so are you planning to lose weight? How much have you lost? You know, like I think that was one of it. Like when you change something, and also when you have someone else in the house, you can't also just adopt that. You need to know where the balance is to be able to adopt some of this. I think that those are some of the social dynamics.
Actually those are quite big social dynamics that you need to consider, because you can imagine, maybe for example you are a mom, isn't it? There are kids in the house. They're wondering, mbona mama nakula nyama kila siku? And then you see, if especially like there are kids and other people involved, basically you're just not you have to cater for everyone else. That's why I was saying the expense part is
very high.
Again, with the hotels and friends, usually told whenever you're getting on a diet, please do not tell anyone, because
why?
Yes, because people will start feeling woye for you when you're at the office. They're like, oh, even today you're not eating, you're only eating that.
They make you feel as if you're missing out.
Exactly. And then that's now the time which now they even magnify your brain to certain things. Maybe it's someone who's having a birthday at the office, then they're like, but Leah now is not eating, so like, can I have your you see, now such thing. So sometimes really just best to keep it to yourself, or maybe get someone, a good support system. Someone who's actually even doing the diet by themselves. Also another aspect of the social setting, you just notice even most of the times when you go to the restaurants, honestly, you see the way they serve. No consideration, and the way they serve your food. It happens to me quite a lot, because me, I love my vegetables, by the way. I love vegetables, I love salads, I love my kachumbari, my bogas. But then now they serve for you a very small,
like in those two.
And then when you just tell them to add for you, I'm telling you get even side eyes. I'm like, no, it's being extra charged. But then I'm like, I feel like they should be a bit more flexible. I'm like, I do not want these 3 heaps of ugali that you place. Like, just remove some of that and add vegetables for me.
I think maybe I don't know whether it happens in other countries, but I think in our countries, how our restaurants are, the consideration of like diets, because in other places I think they are very keen on like diets, like you have very different variations. I've kind of started seeing that somehow, like if you're vegetarians, like vegetarian options, and like different options that you could consider. But I think before that was not the case. You'd either be fast foods or other foods that they have cooked, and definitely carbohydrates are always more on the plate. Like you'd get a small piece of chicken, and the name there is chicken something. But like a chicken, you're literally like looking for it. And I think maybe that's something the hotel industry would consider, is to adjust it or make it a bit more flexible, so that people are able to like kind of pick and choose some of the things that someone would want to eat. I'm seeing that happening a bit now. At least right now they give you an option of garden salad, chips, rice, and you choose from, like, so you already have your chicken, then you choose like from that. I think that may be something, an area to improve. Compared to other diets out there, why should someone go for keto? And maybe this would be for someone who is probably not so be recommended from a point of for them to get better, or maybe they're sick. Just someone ukunje looking for a diet to adopt.
Again, because of my professional background, I might be a bit biased, just telling everyone, no, like do keto. But I think it's usually one of the easier options, like how I compare it with
To
other
other
diets.
diets,
Because you see, number one, with keto, I am not limiting the amount of food that you're consuming. Because you see, with calorie restrictive diet, I'm telling you, you can only have one portion of bread. One slice of bread, you can only have like a quarter cup of this ugali. You can only eat a quarter chapati. You see, depending on how your diet plan is going to look like. But with ketogenic diet, I'm not limiting the portions. I'm just restricting what you're supposed to be consuming. So I'd be like, okay, if you want, you can eat all that chicken or all that, but then I just need you to not take certain classes of food. So I actually feel like when it comes to that, it's a bit easier for people to implement, because with calorie restrictive, most people start saying like, I'm a bit hungry, like you've limited my food for this and this. But then you see, with keto, I let you eat, like it's very flexible.
10 sausages go.
But then that's processed. Yes, but it's just more of me limiting what you can eat rather than the amount that you can consume. In which, for most people, that's why most people fall out of diets, by the way. They say they're like, the limitations is too much, but then you see, now when you're getting a diet that I'm telling you can consume this, but then just ensure that.
So it can be like an entry to like more stringent kind of diets. You'd say something of the sort. So one of the things I do also, I like doing a bit more, is intermittent fasting. And on my app that I track my intermittent fasting, is a point where it says I'm in ketosis. So this, I've gone through, can I remember this catabolic, then there is like fat burning, and then after fat burning, then I'm like in ketosis. How does that aspect of intermittent fasting correlate to keto and the keto diet?
Just basically, like we've said, from the word keto, it basically means your body has switched from using glucose to ketones, isn't it? So you see, with intermittent fasting, what happens is you are depriving your body from any food, isn't it? So what will it do after a while? It will start breaking. It's also catabolic. Basically, catabolism means breaking down. So it's just going to start breaking down its own self, because there are activities that still need to continue in your body. So that's how intermittent fasting works, in the sense of ketogenic. The ketones will still be there, because now your body has to now start using ketones for fuel. For the fact that you're just not consuming food for certain periods of time.
Would you recommend someone who is in ketosis to also jump on intermittent fasting, and maybe?
You have to actually be. For you to get into ketosis, you actually have to be
in a fasted
state. Or you have to be in a state whereby you are not consuming
as many
carbohydrates.
Okay. So I hope, guys, you're getting that, the differences and where that comes in. And I think maybe because we don't really understand the process in which our body goes through, we adopt something, and then within 1 month we're saying, I work. It's not effective. It's not this and this. Other people who can actually do the keto diet and it doesn't, probably for them end up getting benefits from it. Is it a possibility? But it also depends on the goal, right?
Yes, and then I feel, actually, with almost all these diets, all of them work out. And from my experience dealing with clients, the only time a diet would not work is if you're not doing what your dietitian has told you to do. Yes, that is the only time. So most of the times, especially
cheating.
Exactly, and then you come and start telling me, because like I've been dealing with clients, they've been doing this, they're losing weight, like how come your nini is very special? And then now you see, those are some of the challenges actually that we face as a dietitian nutritionist, because you see, I am not with you 24/7. I can tell you, like, please, Leah, like, for breakfast, I'm limiting your slices of bread to 2. You see, at lunchtime, I'm limiting the amount of chapatis that you're supposed to be using. I'll recommend just take 2. But then now you see, you'll go, you do your things. Maybe there was a party somewhere, you just eat. Exactly. And then you see, when you're having my review with me, you can come and lie. But then now you see, I'm like, how come Leah's not losing? Like, what is happening? But then now you see, it's because
you're not being disciplined.
Exactly. So most of the times, actually, with these diets, it's just they really depend on your level of discipline. If you do things correctly, trust me, you will get to your desired results.
True.
So the only thing with these different diets, it's just finding one that actually suits you and one that you are more comfortable
and
doing.
you can do it easily without feeling.
So you see, there's someone who with the calorie restrictive, they'd be like, me, I'm okay eating 2 chapatis. Me, I'm okay doing this, because also their mental strength is quite high. But then you'll find someone, they'll be like, no. Exactly. Even with the ketogenic diet, they'll be like, I can't take all this fat, you see. Or someone who's a vegetarian, you see them now, they can't even do it because how will you eat? They are not supposed to be eating meat.
I think that's so true. I think one of the things I've learned from my journey is that discipline, above all else, is what you need. It's not motivation. You don't need to be motivated, because motivation will come. But like being disciplined is really, really important, and being like putting boundaries with yourself and being like, okay, I told myself that I'm not going to do this, and adhering to that. It's very, very important. And I think also building a consciousness around it, because I think most of our eating is very unconscious. Like if you ask someone, how many times did you snack today? They can't tell you, because we eat so unconsciously. You just pick something, put it in your mouth, move. Or you meet someone, order something, you eat. And when you sit down in the evening, can you be able to tell how many things
you've consumed during the day?
So I think also building a consciousness around how you're eating, what you're eating, and whether actually you're conscious about what you are told and you're doing that. I think it's quite important. Okay. Is it sustainable? Is it something sustainable for a longer period of time, keto?
It might be a bit hard for someone to sustain
it for the rest of their life,
very long period of time. Because you see, what happens is basically what will happen, it is sustainable if someone is, especially again for someone whose condition basically relies on it. Because you see, even for kids with refractory epilepsy, the minute you reintroduce a certain level of carbohydrate that they were not using, it goes back. You see. So I think over time you can just work with different variations. If, for example, you are really on the classic one, you can just decide to work with one that maybe has reintroduced some of these maybe carbohydrates, or basically a higher amount of the carbohydrates that you're comfortable with, that is alleviating your symptoms, and it's also not making you go back to any other the condition that you're suffering.
That's a good way to do it. Like just
find like a nice balance,
a good balance. Yes. And also the fact that there are different variations. Try and just like find your way through them and work through them over a certain period of time. Is there a certain period of time in which it can be proved more effective? So, for example, if I started adopting keto today, can I say in 3 months I'd probably see its effect or impact, or within a week? Because people nowadays want chop things.
So again, that again depends on just how your habits have been. You see, like I said, maybe you've been eating badly, maybe I've not been eating bad. So you see, the diet would work faster on me than on you. Someone who's vegetarian, maybe they are type 2 diabetes, we actually need to put them on a low-carb diet. You see, for them, it's going to take a longer period of time because you see, even the choice of foods that I have with them is going to be quite limited. And like this person who is not... like they can take meat. So there are very many different factors that come in play. So I cannot specifically say like you'll do it 1 week, you'll be like this. No. It's very individualized.
Okay. So guys, those who are told after 1 month, as you've heard, it's this dependency. Because I know nowadays that's how the diet and the wellness space is preaching, and mostly when it comes to weight loss is that, adopt this, and I'm telling you, within 2 weeks, you're from size 12 to size 6, but I think also for me, what I've understood with this process, it's a process. It's a step-by-step process. It's not something that just happens. And it's actually, it can be true that you lose something within a month. It's true if there's that consistency and discipline. But there's the expectation that it should be from, I don't know, maybe from 80 kgs to like now you're 50.
No.
Now that is where that's
that's also quite
information.
harmful, honestly.
Yeah,
like for you to
yeah,
lose that,
yeah.
it did not take you 30. You're usually told it did not take
You
you
that long to gain it.
exactly.
So even
So how
losing
would you
it,
lose
just
it?
lose
Yeah,
it
you didn't take
immediately.
a week to
Yeah,
gain 10
yeah,
kgs. So
yeah.
how are you expecting within a
So
week to
I
lose
think
10 kgs?
it's okay to have like, say maybe this month this is my goal, but don't be like
In a
wanting
rush.
a chop, a shortcut to things. I think this what some of the questions we thought, and for me I've always heard about vegan and vegetarian and all these things. What the hell are those things? Because I don't get it. Is it so when someone says they're vegan or vegetarian, that there's these names that feel so correlated that I can't tell
Okay.
what is what. Yeah.
So when it comes to that, those basically are a group of people who decide they want a plant-based diet. But like with everything nowadays, people have different variations.
Yeah.
So with the types, we have lacto-ovo-vegetarians. Lacto-ovo-vegetarians basically can take cow's milk, dairy products, and also eggs. Isn't it? Then we have ovo-vegetarians. Them now they cannot take, they cannot take milk. They're only taking the eggs, isn't it? We have a group of plant-based people who are called pescatarians. Pescatarians are basically eating fish. They're not taking any eggs. They're not taking, apart from the plant-based things, they're only taking that fish. One. Yes, they're only taking fish. We have flexitarians, like the name flexi. They're a bit flexible. So for them, it's like I am majorly on a plant-based diet, but occasionally
I can eat some meat. I don't mind some.
Exactly. Then of course now they're the vegans. The vegans now they're people who are very strict. They're not taking any animal products. Now for them it's just a strict plant-based diet. No eggs, no fish, no cow's milk, no dairy products. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a good explanation, because I've always been so confused about all these people and all these names.
And trust me, a few years from now, again, there's going to be another variation. Someone again is saying, okay, I'm a vegetarian.
Do you think it's just maybe for someone to suit their need, and so they just give it their name and just, because I feel like that's, someone just wakes up and says, okay, see, I can just be a vegetarian, and take like 2 eggs.
Yeah, because even with the flexitarians, honestly, you can just say you're not even, you're consuming meat once in a while. You can just be like, okay, I don't like meat.
Because someone, there are times you can be like, you're not, because I think it's because people separate, and I think maybe for Africans or most Africans, I'm not sure. But from my end, I don't interact with many people who call themselves vegetarian, call themselves, I don't know, people who take meat, what they call themselves. And I think we haven't really divided ourselves in that. I think I find that more in like movies and stuff like that, where people are like, oh, I'm vegetarian, I'm this and that. I think in an African setting has not yet taught us. But maybe when we were growing up, man, I think we were just vegetarians. Most times, What is the role of supplements when it comes to diet?
The role of supplements. So supplements basically are substances that you add to your food, basically to add more nutritive value into it. Not even to your food, basically into your body. Or sometimes you take it so that you are evading certain risk conditions. So with supplements, like for example, the way we mentioned vegans, isn't it? With vegans, they're supposed to be like, if you're a complete vegan, like you just take a strict plant-based diet, you're supposed to be on B12 supplementation, because that is a supplement that we're sure they are not getting completely. At least they can take the supplements around 2,500 micrograms at least once in a week. So the haphazard, everyone taking supplements, I usually don't understand that. Again, it's something that needs to be prescribed. You cannot just wake up one day and you're like, I'm taking omega-3, I'm taking B12, I'm taking calcium. No, it's supposed to be very directed. You go to a dietitian, you've done your lab works, maybe you want certain diets, they tell you now you have to be on this one, so that we are ensuring that you are not getting any deficiencies with anything. And then another issue with supplements, I think I hear a lot that people say they do not work. But supplements do work. The problem is, are you taking what is recommended for you? You see, for example, maybe even with the way we had mentioned B12, you are supposed to be taking at least 2,500 micrograms in a week. You go and buy some supplement from somewhere, it's not even prescribed. it only has maybe a concentration of 1,000 micrograms. Of course, it's not going to give you the desired effects because it's like you're even underdosing on it. So for a supplement to really work, again, work with your dietitian. Ensure you're actually taking the recommended amount for you to actually feel the differences within your body.
I've never been a fan of supplements, or I actually don't know so much about supplements, but I think it makes sense that it would be one recommended by a dietitian, because you also can't know what deficiencies you have.
You can't just nitpick. At least until some labs are done, or you exhibiting certain symptoms and be like, okay, maybe you might be deficient in this. Let's check this. Let's give this to you, and then now ensuring you're getting it in the correct. I cannot emphasize that enough. Exactly, it needs to be in the correct dosages for you to feel this changes within your body.
Okay, that's good. Maybe as you're about to wrap up, can you tell us some of the meals that could be considered in keto? Maybe say whether it was like a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. So you can give us like what would be some of the meals included in that.
Okay. Again,
from like a breakfast.
So so for a breakfast, I'd tell you maybe to have some eggs. It can have something like mushroom, and I'd of course tell you to have something like nuts. Depending on whatever variation you're giving, maybe if you're comfortable working with, I'll calculate and see. Maybe you need 30 grams of carbohydrates. So the main reason I'm not putting a bread or that, it's because sometimes with these vegetables within it, there's already some starches in it. So that is why we are really limiting them. That's why you see for most ketogenic diets, you'll not see things like milk and fruits. You see, that is the reason. So for breakfast, you'd have something like that. For lunch, I can tell you to have something like fish, some kales, and then again, maybe some avocado. For supper, I can even tell you to make a chicken salad. Okay. And of course you need to drizzle your olive oil. And by the way, you are really hungry when you're on the ketogenic diet because your body takes a longer time to break down fats. So you'd not even be very hungry. And then you remember, if you're already in a state of ketosis, your body is already utilizing its own self. So you are not really craving for anything.
Actually, one of the things I have come to learn and understand about our bodies know how to function by themselves. And sometimes you feel like we need to do certain things, but actually, literally, if you think about it, you never teach your body how to do things. Like, you don't teach your body how to digest food.
No.
So your body knows how to kind of figure itself out when there's lack of something, or even when you go to hospital, the doctor will tell you maybe you have a high number of maybe immune something, because that shows that you actually have an infection. So your body is already trying to fight this infection in your body. It's just that maybe it needs something more to assist with that. So my last question is, because you're on VR Feel, what are you currently figuring out or feeling?
What I'm currently figuring out, since you're talking on things to do with keto, keto is not that. There's not a lot of information on it, especially around Kenya. And then you see things like what I'm passionate about is using the, in mainstream media, of course, it's known as ketogenic diet. But when you come to the medical field, they most at times refer it as a low carbohydrate diet. So I think I would love to figure out how to just basically make guidelines and policies and books so that number one, people can know there are positive effects to you using the ketogenic diet. And then for dietitians to at least have guidelines and books that will show you like, okay, you have a patient, they want to be on the ketogenic diet, these are the steps to follow. And maybe have a website for also the patients or anyone who wants to do it. Like exactly, to know this is what, because you see when you go outside Kenya, like this information is, oh my god, the information is very there. But then now you see, of course, you have to Kenyanize it, because now they'll be there, they'll tell you to eat certain things and you're like, hey, this is not even available to me. So hopefully I'll be able to figure that out, and in the near future have such a website or a document or papers that basically will help support both the healthcare workers and the patients on how to basically do this.
Oh, that's a good ending. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast and coming to share your knowledge with us. We really don't take it for granted. I'm sure there is someone who has diabetes type 2 who now has learned that there's actually something they can do about their situation, and also there are people who are just in the keto diet or planning to join that. I'm sure they have picked a thing or two. So thank you so much, and for honoring us with your presence and being part of our podcast. So thank you guys for joining us. I think that has been very informative. And I hope that you've picked up something from this episode. Please let us know what is one thing that has surprised you about the ketogenic diet that maybe you knew or you didn't know. And share that with us in the comments. Also share with us some questions that you might have. We'll be sure to share with you some of the questions that people came up with from this episode. And yes, make sure that you subscribe. So that you get notification, or subscribe and hit the notification bell so that every time we release a new episode, you're notified. And ensure that you follow us on we_r_Theo on all social media platforms. That we can get in touch there. That's where you can ask your questions, and that's also where we post most of our content. So make sure that you follow us there. Would you like to plug yourself? Any social media? No, nowhere. But thank you so much. We can leave your maybe details, some details.
My LinkedIn.
Your LinkedIn. Yeah. So in case you're also looking for a dietitian, people can reach you there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye bye.